Hello and welcome, peoples, to the Stoked Bloke Show. I'm Barton Lynch, and I am the Stoked Bloke. Today's show is going to sort of delve a little into the idea of what is stoke. How do you get stoke? Where does it come from? What is it? How do you manifest it for yourself? And then look into gratitude, because for me, my stoke is based in my gratification for every single breath I have. And that's why the journey today is going to look at gratitude for your life, for your existence, for every moment. And then that becomes stoke and changes your life. And this story starts when I'm 10 years old, PK, and I'm actually asleep in bed at Whale Beach in Sydney, Australia. My dad's a policeman who is the captain of Whale Beach Surf Club. He also has a lawn mowing business and is, we're deeply connected to the community there. It's a country town, miles away from Sydney at that point in time with the way roads were. It might only take an hour or two now, but back then it was a country town, and it was simple, it was innocent. Mum was at home working, the three boys. I've got two younger brothers, the three boys are there, Dad's on his jobs, we're at the beach every day. That's his idea of medicine, is the ocean. Anything wrong, you had the flu, had a cold, go to the beach, have a swim, that'll fix you.
Are you old enough that milk would be delivered to your house by a milkman?
Exactly.
We're talking another time.
And you know what people used to do that's even beyond that idea is they used to leave their milk money in the letterbox. And when this little kid moved towns, and that became a reality, I'm one of the reasons that thing ended. It was probably because it was pretty hard to walk by letterboxes knowing there's dough in every one of them.
There must have been a cultural shift. It wasn't just you, but I think little kids started grabbing that money.
Indeed, mate. And I even remember when instant coffee sachets came out, and they delivered them, Nescafe, all around our neighbourhood. They were in every letterbox. And I got one in ours and smelt it and went on a rampage of everyone's letterboxes taking their coffee and had a big stash of the decaffeinated. But it was an innocent time. We're talking the late 60s, early 70s. And, Whale Beach has got a traditional culture, which is at the surf club. And then it's got a hippie culture, which is Tracks Magazine, Surfing World Magazine, being down there at the Wedge on that beach. And I grew up with them at either side of me, this sort of Anglo-Saxon surf life saving policeman, father, and that lifestyle, which was quite sort of authoritarian and along the lines of the establishment. And down the other end of the beach were these long-haired, layabout, no-hopers just riding waves every day looking like they were having the time of their life, And so this little kid's growing up in that area. I've started to surf. I was playing soccer and was in... That soccer most probably was the first thing I felt, well, I'm kind of all right at this. You know what I mean? And you had some game, and I love soccer. And then when I found surfing, it kind of started overtaking soccer.
Were you good at surfing right away?
No, you know what? My younger brother Clayton was very good at surfing right away, and he had this style and this stance and stuff that I remember envying as a young kid. And so he had that natural about him when it came to surfing, and I worked at it. I've been working hard at it for a long time, heart and soul. But back to the story. So I'm in bed and I'm asleep, and I hear the crying, the tears, the wailing, I suppose, of my mother, and she's out in the living room. She's been told that my father's passed away on his way home from work that night. I knew the shit had hit the fan. I knew that nothing good was it was something you had to deal with, and I literally rolled over and went to bed, back to sleep, and I wasn't ready to get up and face that reality at that point in time. And when we talk about stoke being the essence, for me, out of challenging yourself, putting yourself into situations of fear and challenge, areas of discomfort. And as you become comfortable in that situation, you recognise that, hey, I can do this. You grow. You become stoked in yourself. And that joy in yourself of having felt that ability of, I'm learning something, and it can happen without that comparison to others, and it should happen without that comparison to others. It should exist in your space and be about you, because we're all different and all scared of different things in different ways, and there's things that you've got to challenge within yourself to grow.
So what happened to you to get you to a point of stoke from a point of hopelessness?
You know, we stay in that Whale Beach area, and my mum tells a story of her being in the kitchen having a cry to herself of an evening, and me as a young 10-year-old boy coming into the kitchen and telling her, "Mum, don't worry, everything's going to be all right," giving her a hug and telling her that I was going to be a world champion surfer. But we're talking 74, so the story don't sound right because it doesn't even exist at this point in time. But this surfing concept of it being a bit of a saviour for me was kind of prevalent. That's what it was I was going to use surfing to save myself and give myself a future. And so this is what happens. So I'm in bed and my godfather comes in and he goes, do you want to come out into the balcony and we'll have a chat? I get up and we go out to the balcony and we're overlooking the terrace at Whale Beach, and I lived at 331 Whale Beach Road, which was on top of the ocean, staring out across to Gosford. Palm Beach is there, the terrace was right below you, and that big blue yonder's looking at me, and my godfather says that your dad passed away last night in a motorbike accident and you're the man of the house now. that kind of storyline, and I remember kind of going, it's going to be complex, let's see. And then he said, "Is there anything you want to do? Is there anything?" And I want to go for a surf. And he took me down to Kitty's Corner at Palm Beach, dropped me there, left me there. So I'm 10 years old. And I just paddle out and surf and paddle in and, catch a few waves and have a cry to myself and just spent that time alone. Yeah, and with the ocean, and my dad's ashes are out there off Whale Beach. And I'm going to be out there too, mate. And I tell my son, "Hey, don't you worry, mate. Your grandpa's out there." I'm going to choke up, but your grandpa's out there, mate. He'll look after you. Don't you worry. Have some strength. Have some confidence in yourself. And the stoke came from the fact that you recognise that it could be gone like that. It is gone like that. And I have that understanding that it's important, every breath. And you being grateful for every one of those breaths. Looking at mankind, right, and you go, okay, how did we get to where we are? There's a very primitive, deep, instinctive energy inside all of us that is self-preservation, and there is this constant thing that's going on in life that in the modern world is less physical and more cerebral, and as a byproduct of that transference of the existence being at a physical grassroots level and being in some cyber level, people start to get awfully confused, feel awfully destabilised because they're not connected to themselves, they're not connected to the earth, they're not connected to the core. And if you go to all of those other places that are out there and those opportunities to exist in those, I don't want to. I want to exist right here, right now, and the gratitude's in every breath.
Was surf a big part of it for you, or was it something else?
No, well, it was a massive part of it. But I've always said and always felt that if that's all I am, I'll kind of be disappointed. You know what I mean? I feel like, and these thoughts and feelings that I now share on social media are not new to me. These are concepts I've lived with since I was a teenager. And I've lived in that space. I would like to encourage, because you are almost self-centered in a way, doesn't mean that you're not centered with your community. It doesn't mean that you're putting other people down for your own betterment. It means that you recognise you're a part of a tribe, part of a collective, and if you, with your energy and vibrancy and beauty that you create out of the way you live, can bring that to community and to people, and that's what I feel like kind of has been happening, as people kind of getting to know me and resonate with what I think, and we communicate, and well, what a sick community we've created here. And it's out of, thin air, more or less.
So what kind of competition for our mind is there in the media and in social structures that come against our stoke?
And I've been watching the behaviour of authority since, 1978. So it's quite a long time that I've been observing, and I've been offered the blue ribbon Liberal seat of Manly in the New South Wales State Parliament, given to me if I wanted it. I don't think you can. No thanks. This capitalism season, so to speak, is on its last legs, right? They can't pay the debt back. They just keep printing it. Somehow it doesn't affect the value of it as they just keep printing it. And so you go, well, it's kind of a manufactured, not real financial environment that's on its last legs and going to go. And there's money grabs going everywhere in the process. So for me, the decentralisation of finance is a fantastic opportunity. But then the regionalisation of stuff, so getting your food as close to you as you can and connecting with your community. If I've got Manny's the bloke who, in our neighbourhood, at home, he'll make burritos up.
Yeah,
wraps them in food.
I got him on my
you get Manny
speed
too?
dial.
Yeah.
Hey, I need 4 burritos.
Yeah.
I don't go any less than 4. I don't want to drive for the effort.
Well, he does our neighbourhood, and
burrito delivery,
and it's epic. And it's you're helping a local bloke do his thing. Your money's staying close to home. You're connecting your community. You're going out and have a chat with him, and he's going off to chat with others, and the thing's connecting. So that there's that power in your energy being pure to itself that attracts other energy. There's this fantastic opportunity as this kind of old system decays around us to create this new system that could be facilitating different concepts. And when people start attacking you because you've said something that is you, they're following you, you've said something that is you, and they attack you, and you go, just unfollow, mate. Super easy. Like, I don't get it. What do you? Oh, you want to be a part of the argument and the fight. Just unfollow people you don't like. Connect with the community you do. And sometimes it's important to hear other things, so you challenge yourself in that way. You're not just figuring you know it all. If you think about the world, it was kind of taken over by royal European families that sailed out into the world with their armies and navies, found the world and stole it, and then implemented their ideas, their religions, their concepts, and then have been managing the natives ever since. You know what I mean? That's kind of where we're at. And some countries have done better jobs than others in respecting Indigenous culture and being a part of it. And it's one of the things as an Australian always felt, you're at school and they're teaching you this version of history, and then you kind of walk out onto the street and you go, I think they're bullshitting, eh? Look at this. And you for me, it was always just staring me right in the face that they were lying about stuff, and that the treatment of the Indigenous people was criminal. I get asked all the time, how do I become a better surfer? How do I do that? And it's exactly the same way you become a better person. Because if you're looking at the surfing performance and that's all you get, just this visual idea of it, you're connecting with that moment energetically, with that wave and that moment of the environment's energy, then the performance of that person, depending on the reason, the energy to it, the purity of that individual and the way they transcend their personality onto a wave, that's the art of surfing, isn't it? Transcending your personality on land to a wave and matching it to that moment of energy and turn it into a beautiful dance is that feeling that you cut off and you're shaking. You're like, woo, woo.
So come out of the water after that performance and keep that going on land.
Totally. And the way I teach this sort of concept that differentiates between thinking and feeling. And I have a lot of both, but I have a lot of thinking. And my journey has been overcoming my own insecurities, my overactive mind and my very vocal inner voice.
Let's just say there's 2 spirits in the world, stoke and anti-stoke. Yeah. What is anti-stoke? Fear, oppression, control?
Lack of acceptance. And that lack of stoke starts in your expectation of the future, an expectation of yourself, an expectation of others, an expectation of behaviour. That's root number 1. You expecting stuff is taking you away from present moment being. You judging stuff and thinking I don't know anything. I sit there as such a uncertain. I've watched so many things change throughout time. Don't eat this, that's bad for you. Oh, actually it's good for you. And this is bad for you and this is good for you. And I'm constantly in that, it's constantly in that state of change. So best chance you have is connecting with those feelings that come from ancient wisdom that exists in every single one of us, that is millennia formed into this moment in time that we are living. And if the outside of that moment in time has evolved itself to a point of conflict, which it always has and always, for some reason the humankind just need that conflict to continue, but it's always been between a country and another country, or a bunch of countries and another bunch of countries, religion against religion, and now it has taken on the form of a corporate hijack, as I would see it. We think about every little thing incrementally different. Not one of us agree on everything exactly the same.
Right.
And the context of every subject, whether it's religion, guns, whatever it is, we all think about it incrementally different, and that's what's got to be respected for Stoke to live, mate. For Stoke to be around and in community, it needs respect. And that respect allows those individuals to be themselves, to indulge themselves in themselves. Go have a good time, mate. Live it up. You know, find yourself in there and make yourself super happy. Stoke could be defined as that sense of self-appreciation that you get through exposing yourself to growth, to discomfort, to the achievement of something that you really want to do. And you move in a baby step towards it, just that one little step towards it. And that one little step is the root cause of Stoke. As you move towards your goals, as you move towards your truth, as you move towards your future in a conscious, aware way, and you're doing it because you want to do this thing. And in a community, we all come together, we all live together, that happiness can be shared. And respect can be given, and differences and biodiversity in all its shapes and forms can be to all of our own health. You know, so it's for the betterment of all that we allow each other to be there and live in that and create that Stoke.